All right, today we're out here on a lake I normally fish. We're gonna go over some ways of finding spots to fish, and I'm gonna show you some stuff on the graph, on the Mega 360, on the side imaging, and then eventually on the live scope. But just where to get started with your electronics and how that can be beneficial and how you can turn that into fishing the boat. So here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is side scan. So start the engine here, and actually the first thing I guess I'm going to do is probably at home, and that's just some map study. As you can see, I've got a ton of waypoints on this lake. The one waypoint is a hazard that I want to leave marked. So, all right, from here, I've got no waypoints. This is a lake I know very well, but to get started, the first thing I'm going to do is either at home or on my phone or whatever, is look at the map. So this is where the boat is. I have currently got the map highlighted to a certain depth. So if I go menu twice here, and I go to let me see if I can find it. Chart, map source, Navionics, shaded depth 16. I can change that to, let's say, 10. And as you'll see, now a lot more of the lake is white. But generally I'm not going to do that first. I'm looking anywhere between 8 and 15, 16 feet of water, and ultimately where the grass line starts or stops. I also, and how I kind of find that is I zoom into a spot here, and you can see where the lines get really tight together. And this is like 30 some feet of water. But where the lines get tight together is where I would start. If I know nothing, I'm going to start there, where the lines get tight together, and see if that's where the grass grows. So let's do that. And as you can see, my boat's over here. I've got it set to heading up, I believe. Yeah, chart orientation, heading up. That for me is the best, simply because as I'm moving forward, I can see that to the right of me is the shore, to the left of me is open for a while. All right, so as you can see here, I'm starting to get some closer lines, which basically means there's a steep drop off. So now I'm going to switch to a different view. I like the view right here. I've got a small section of map so that I can see what I'm looking at. I've got my down view at the top, and then I've got my side view out 100 feet on the bottom. So, we're in 26 feet of water. There is no grass. There's a little bit of grass you can see here, and there's also, it looks like a thermocline at about 12 feet of water. So we don't want to fish deeper than 12 feet of water, but you can see the grass line starts right there at about 15 feet of water. So that tells me to go to my map, go to 15 feet of water, and now where the where the white and the blue meet should be the grass line, and we'll see how accurate that is. Generally, if you find a spot on the lake where the grass meets, it's going to be the same everywhere. So as you can see here with the side scan coming up, there's our grass. It says we're in like 13 feet of water, but it's also right where the blue and the white meet. So there's a little hump here. What we're looking for is the edge of the grass, so the grass line. That's the first thing that I would suggest fishing. So right here, basically where that grass starts, that's the very first spot, and I like to find that on my side scan. Here is something interesting. So I'm going deeper, right? And you can kind of see the grass line is sporadic here. So just to get a better idea, I'm going to look at my whole side scan, and you see there's no more grass out here. So I got to go back in shallower. I'm in 14 feet of water here. There's some grass. That's a good grass clump. When you're scanning, you want to go slow, like 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, no more than that. And you also want to go straight. If you start doing a lot of turns, you'll see stuff, fuzzy stuff, distortion of the image that actually will throw you off, pretty much, is the easy way to say it. So now we're too shallow. So it's hard without the graph, in my opinion. See, now I'm way up in here in the blue. So that's why I like the view of, I mean, we could even do that right now. That would work. We're going to go back down where I just came, but we're going to try and run parallel to this white and blue and see if we can find a decent looking grass edge. This lake is very sporadic when it comes to grass and where it grows, and just the bottom contours are kind of all over the map, literally. So there's a good grass edge. And you can see this is a good grass edge. So let's say I want to fish this, right? And I want to mark it. So on the helix, as soon as you stop and you start moving your cursor around, you are kind of stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this little, this is an inside turn. I'm going to mark this with grass, if I can figure out where that is. Okay, right there. So I'm going to mark this with grass. I'm going to mark all over this. Mark, environment, grass, mark. And I could change my default, which would make this a lot easier. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'll show you how to do that here in a second too. Okay. So you go to menu twice, menu 3 times, I guess. Go to waypoint settings, default waypoint icon. And we're going to say it's just going to hit default. So now if I save this, what's going to happen is it's going to mark grass. So exit that, we're going to mark there, mark there, mark there, Mark there. I can't really see over here, but okay. So then when we go back to our map, you can see this is our grass line, which is really close to where we marked our depths. So we're going to keep going. We're going to find 3 or 4 spots, and then we're going to try to fish some of them and see if we can catch some fish. The one thing about this, with fishing in the grass, it is next to impossible to see fish on the side scan unless they're hanging out outside of the grass, which is a rarity. So that's a grass line, right? That was a decent looking grass line. Now we're going to see if we can find some holes in the grass. Some irregularities, like maybe that was a hole right there and I am right on top of it. But we might go, let's see here. See, this looks like a little hole in the grass right here. So we're gonna go back out here and see what we can see. So these could all be fish, really. We're going to go back through that. It could be bottom, it could be fish. Ultimately, you want to look at the shadows. You can see the little black dots are shadows. They do not look like fish, but that is the perfect, actually, oh man. We're going to go back through that. That was what I would consider a perfect hole in the grass, someplace I would want to fish. So here we go. This is that turning thing, and there's some distortion. You can see it's distorted. All right, so we're gonna try and go right over that again. This is the hole, I believe, that's marked pretty clear on the Navionics card. All right, so there's actually holes and then more holes. So what we want to mark here is, you can see this hole here. There's some grass here. Like I said, it's very sporadic, this lake, but you can kind of see that there's bare bottom here. So we're gonna hit mark, and because we already changed our default to grass, we know we're good there. Okay. And then, now, because we went past that way back here, if you go back, this is that hole in the grass, which ironically matches up pretty good with that hole in the grass. So that's kind of how you can see a hole there, which is also technically just a weed line. So let's see what else we can find. I'm sure this spot here looks good. I haven't seen any bait fish, which is kind of a little bit weird, but we're gonna go up and see this. See if that's also a hole or a high spot. As you can see, there's grass. It's pretty cluttered grass on both sides right here. What you're looking for is like a bare bottom in there. And I don't really see it. So let's go to the other side of the lake or somewhere further away from where we are. Let's go check, let's say, I don't know. Let's go, what looks good? Let's go check out, I guess let's go check out this little finger right here. So, we're looking at that little nubbin, just to see what that looks like. And we're gonna go over it a couple different directions. There's, you can see right out there's your weed line. So we're going to mark that. Mark, 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 mark. And you can be as precise with these as you want. You can zoom in, and where your crosshairs meet is where your mark's gonna go. Okay, so now we did that. Let's see if we turn around and go a little bit deeper out, what that looks like. So we are basically going to go right over the grass line like where we're headed. So we're going to go a little bit to the right of that and see how accurate we were. I would say that was pretty accurate. But I also would say there's nothing there to necessarily fish. We can flip a Texas rig or a jig up and down that and see what's up, but I'm probably not going to fish that. Those holes look better to me. Alright, so let's just say, hypothetically, we fished that outside grass line, right? That's pretty much what we found. And there's no fish there. So now let's go in, and we're gonna zigzag back and forth across this flat and see if we can find anything. So it might get really shallow, but hopefully we can find a hole or something. Like that. That is something. That is probably something not too many people would find. Here's another one coming. Now granted, we're getting super shallow, so maybe, but you can see this hole in here. So we are going to, and there was a hole back here that I really liked, but we're going to mark this one. So we're going to start out here. I'm going to hit mark, mark, mark. And I feel like we could fish right here and probably catch some. This is a decent sized hole. Okay. But it's also bare, so there's some hard bottom there. My prediction is there's going to be a hole out to our right, or a bare spot. And there really wasn't. Okay, so far that's my favorite spot. I guess we're just going to go through here kind of shallow and see what we see if there's anything worth marking. The whole idea, guys, is to have a starting spot, something that looks good, something that feels right to you, so you're not just out here blind casting. And I can see the grass with my polarized glasses, and it's looking pretty good. Here's a spot we're definitely going to want to fish. And some of this stuff is definitely shown on the Navionics map, but until you get out here and actually get to graphing it, you're not necessarily going to find all the goodies. So we're going to mark all of this too. This spot right here looks money. If I were to guess, and every time I'm stopping to mark waypoints, I'm putting the boat in neutral, so I'm not losing, because with the Helix you stop seeing what's going on. I'm gonna put one. I'm gonna put like 3 grass marks there. That looks like a little clump that maybe some fish will be on or in. All right, so that's ultimately what we're gonna do, right? We marked some spots. We've only been here, I think, maybe a half hour. We marked 3 or 4 spots that looked like we could actually throw a bait at them and see what happens. They're all on the same side of the lake, so for now, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stop. We're gonna fish them, and I'm gonna show you. We're gonna fish them kind of in order of where we graft them. So we'll start on this hole, and then we'll go to that weed line, and then we'll go up and check out some of those other spots. Throw a bait around. If nothing happens, we'll go to the other side of the lake, try and do the same thing, and yeah, rinse and repeat. I'm going to move this camera up to the front so you can see on the 360 and the live scope what's going on. All right, so our hole is over here. All right, so we're gonna head that way. And grab out our trusty drop shot. And I like to zoom this in twice. I also have the range set to 60 feet. That's a pretty decent cast. And you'll be able to see some of the same stuff on the 360 as we saw on the side scan. There's a bait ball I see on the live scope. We're not quite to our spot yet. All right, so there's some more fish, probably bluegill. We are going to turn our gain down a little bit. I do like a cluttered screen, but you might not. We're gonna start fishing because I see potentially what I think is fish. And we're gonna work our way towards our little hole in the grass. Okay. That looks good, 55 feet. There's a little depth change there. I missed it, but we're in the ballpark. And you're gonna start seeing on the 360 here where we marked our hole. You should be able to see that pretty clear right there. And our mark is actually on the 360. It tells us it's 60 feet away. There's our fish right there, guys. Right there. We're gonna catch one of them, I'm sure. So we just got to our spot. There's our waypoints on this. There's our bass on this. If I can make a 50-foot cast, which that was 65, we're gonna catch a fish. Oh, I broke off. which means either I should have retied because I didn't, or that was a pike, but I think I should have just retied. So, to be determined, but that is how simple it is. Mark the spot, came back to the spot, and blammo. I have not retied that since the last 2 tournaments, so it could have just been a weak knot, and that's definitely a mistake on my part. I really wish I would have retied it, but I still think we're going to catch some fish on that spot. There was definitely more than one there. It's like Grand Central around here with airplanes and boats, and it's not even a nice day. I mean, the airplanes don't really care, but the boats and jet skis and that, you would think they would, but they don't. They're getting in the last little bit of summer too, I suppose. I hate breaking off fish. Like I said in one of my most recent videos, I feel like once you broke off a fish, they kind of go tell their buddies, hey, I got a hook in my mouth, don't bite that. Or if you lose a fish, which in essence is the same thing as breaking off, it's all the same. I don't know, maybe that's just in my head, but I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Let's see what is up now. Okay, we're on the hole, which is not necessarily great. I don't want to spook them. And it may be too late for that. Maybe I already did. There's a fish for sure. That should be a bite. We'll see. Not as easy as the last one, but should be a bite. I'm trying back out of this hole. Like I said, I may have already screwed everything up. First by breaking off on a fish. Second by being right over the hole. I should have spot locked when I was retying. Nope, there they are. So you can see the hole in this grass versus if I pan anywhere outside, there's a bite. If I pan anywhere else, there's grass everywhere. Right here, they're hanging above the grass. I did get a bump there. I'm kind of mad at myself for not being prepared for that bite. Like, I knew it was going to be there, but I did not retie. Frustrating. So sometimes if you leave them and come back, which we got 3 other spots we can try. Sometimes that'll be enough. Yeah, I screwed that up. Let's see if we can get one out of here anyway. There they are. I don't know, I'm not even over there. Alright. So there's a couple close here at 40 feet, which is about right there, maybe 50 feet. And then there was a couple more out there at 60 feet. Alright, so we're going to go for the 60-foot cast, which should be in that area. Yeah, I think we're going to get bit here. No. Yep. So there it is, guys. That's how you find a spot. A starting spot. This is a good fish too. Oh, it's in a bunch of grass. It's not all that great. It's just in a heavy amount of grass. But it's not small by any stretch of the imagination. There we go. Two-pounder, maybe 3. Fat. Thanks, bud. All right. That's how easy that is. So, from side scan to 360, a little live scope in there. But it all starts with the side scan.